I think it was really important to start off the season with Chief doing what Chief does, and to see him in a circumstance where you could experience the grittiness and the darkness of what the tonal shift is going to be like through the season.
Hi, Pablo. How are you?
Doing good, Matthew. How are you?
Doing good. Congrats on season two. Man, you got things started hot, man. That was that was an epic battle scene to
Came
kick
in
off
hot with the
season.
big battle scene up top, didn't we?
No, and especially, I mean, look, energy swords. Anytime those are involved, that's going to be money. But you know,
Fog, fog and energy swords together make for a delicious combo.
that's a gorgeous shot. It is a gorgeous shot when that happens. Does that scene and that battle in general kind of set the tone for Chief and the show's slightly grittier feel in season two?
Absolutely. I think there was a very palpable tonal shift from season one to season two that I think it was really important to start off the season with Chief doing what Chief does, and to see him in a circumstance where you could experience the grittiness and the darkness of what the tonal shift is going to be like through the season. You get um, a very different experience by just opening up and you have a battle sequence in the fog. You can't quite tell what's happening. You can't quite see what's going on. All the action sequences are told from a more subjective point of view. You're put into the position of the character a lot more handheld, the way that it's shot. So you're really in there with the characters. Feels more immediate, feels more direct, it feels more dangerous. And that's a amplification and a reflection of what's going on at the time in the Halo universe, right? Like the humanity is on its back foot. They're losing the war with the Covenant in a bad way, and everybody's under a lot of pressure, and it's making people question each other. It's making people question authority. And Silver Team is, on some backwoods planet doing work that they feel that they're overqualified for. So they're looking at Chief and saying, like, what the hell is going on? He doesn't know. We meet Joseph Akerson, who's taken over the project, and we realize that there's a new boss in town, and it takes a few episodes for John to figure out what his intentions are and why he's using them in the way that they are. So yeah, there's a lot of groundwork being laid in the first couple episodes that I think will inform the rest of the season in a big way, both tonally and both storytelling wise.
Yeah, it's always great amidst all the chaos to have a new boss. It always makes things easier. And
Absolutely.
and one of the things I love about, season one is that we really got to know John, in addition to Chief. And here it's great to see him interact with Kai and Vanek as well, who now is also without, a chip and stuff. So what can you tease about John's journey in season two as the person, and also, how Cortana plays into that, all of those things that surround him?
Yeah, well, how Cortana plays into it is pretty key because they're inseparable as a unit. Even though we've spent a fair amount of time with them being separated, but that's long form storytelling. You don't want to go right to the end of the story. At the end of the first season, they were separated, or they were she had taken over his consciousness in order to get them out of a jam in the battle with the Covenant. Beginning of the first season, they've been separated, and we don't know why. And John has the opportunity to kind of question what it meant to have someone with him, because he spent a fair portion of the first season kind of being resistant to her, ended the first season well aware of her capabilities and curious about that. And now in the second season, she's been taken away, and it sends him into questioning of what it meant to have someone and what it means now to be alone. And the process of the first few episodes will be his journey sort of back to her, in a way. And now that he realizes how important she was to his success.
Well, first couple episodes were great. I'm excited to see the rest of the season. All the best success. Thank you so much. Hi, David. Hi, Kiki. How are you?
Hey,
Hey,
Matthew.
Matthew. Good.
Congrats on season two. This has been on my most anticipated list for a minute. You know, it's a hell of a way to start a season. It's quite the action sequence, that like first half of episode one. Energy swords. We got all kinds of things. David, does this in a lot of ways set the tone for Chief kind of moving forward in words to like the approach to him when he's, under the helmet, the little bit of brutality to that combat as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think tonally, we really worked hard to create a show that felt gritty and authentic, and where the stakes of the combat felt real, and that fight is actually about survival in that moment. And part of that's reinforced by how you shoot the show. We're very subjective with the camera. We're with our characters. We don't see things they don't see. We don't know things they don't know. And we're surrounded by the fog of war a lot this season, meaning that, we know the enemy's out there lurking, but it's not until a Sangheili is on top of us with an energy sword that we really kind of get a look.
Yeah, there's a that magnificent shot of those swords all lining up was fantastic. And Kiki, what was your biggest takeaway from season one? And how did you implement change or build off that in season two?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest learning from season one is how to make the show, which I think let us go into season two, really focused on how do we make sure our writing and our writing around characters surfaces and really leads the story forward. And all of the incredible action and the incredible sets and VFX support that story. And I think with season one, we learned how do we make the show? And then season two, we could be much more crafted. And certainly bringing David on was a big part of that. We went straight from season one into season two. But I think it's really letting that story lead the way.
Well, and obviously the name of the show, is named Halo, right? So, and that was a frequent topic of conversation in season one of references to it. Some of those seeds being planted, but obviously not getting there yet. Will fans have a little bit more of that in season two, kind of towards that progression, towards that bigger overarching story?
I think, as you point out, it's the name of the show. I think that eventually we got to get there, right? Um, but also I think it's about, like, what does the halo mean to Master Chief? And what does it mean to feel special, to feel different, to feel responsible, to carry literally the mantle of responsibility for all of humanity? Like, what does that do to a character? What does that do to a human being? A lot of our story comes from that too, not just the object, but what that object symbolizes.
Well, and that's part of the fun too in season one, and something that's already being shown in season two, of the ability to really make these people as opposed to just armor. And Kai was a scene stealer in season one, and it already looks like Vanek is kind of up to bat next. Kiki, what can you kind of tease about his arc?
I think that it was really important to us from a writing perspective to build that family for our audience, right? To let us get to know the Spartans as people and as brothers and sisters in arms. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the Halo is fundamentally about connecting emotionally, with that feeling of being in the fight and figuring out what to fight for, and figuring out, what it means to be a soldier. And I think that those other characters that we lean into this season give us a lot of that depth and that emotional resonance, and elevate the stakes for Master Chief, who has to lead them.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the time, and congrats on the season. Hi, Bokeem. How are you?
Hey man, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing good. Thanks so much for taking the time. Starting off, where does Soren find himself this season as this war between, the UNSC and the Covenant really starts to boil over? At least, all indications from early episodes in season two. And where does Quan fit into that as well?
Well, Soren doesn't want to be bothered with what's going on outside the rubble and outside of his endeavors as a pirate. He's also somebody who has found himself obsessing over bringing Catherine Halsey to justice. for his own reasons. And he's persistent in trying to live out this fantasy, getting some kind of revenge on her for disfiguring him and robbing him of his childhood. So quite frankly, he doesn't want to be bothered. And as far as Soren is concerned, early on, Quan is safe and magical, so he's like not really worried about her.
Well, actually, as you mentioned, Halsey has had such a profound effect on him, and also John, and we see some of that play out in season 1. In season 2, what can you tease about if Soren actually does get to interact with Halsey at some point during the season, and also does he cross paths with John at all?
Oh man, excuse me. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to divulge either whether or not he interacts with Dr. Catherine Halsey, or if he meets up with his old brother in arms, John 117. I can't say.
No worries, no worries. And that's a big, look, people are looking forward to that. But also, I will say, after that first episode, it was a hell of a way to come out swinging. And there's an amazing action sequence that plays out. As much as you can tease, do we get to see Soren get into some of that grittier combat, get some fisticuffs going throughout the season?
I think it's definitely going to see some action from Soren in season 2. That I can say.
And for you, what was the biggest change or shake up from season 1 to season 2? I know it's got a little bit of a grittier tone early on, but for you and for the character, what do you feel is kind of the biggest departure between the seasons?
For me personally, for my character, or you mean for my character or overall?
For both, either or.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll speak to what I know. For my character, I think the biggest challenge going into season 2 was Soren's interaction with his family, and being honest about those moments as an actor, to respect the audience's intelligence. I'm hopeful that when you see Soren interacting with his family, if you're a family man, you might see some of yourself, or it might remind you a little bit of things that happened in your family. We tried really hard to be honest about those moments and be truthful to the text. And that to me is the biggest departure from season 1. You didn't really get any of that from season 1. There wasn't a whole lot of interaction, stuff like that in the family realm. And it's a lot more in this season. So that's what I think was the most challenging part for me personally, and the biggest change.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. All the best success and congrats on the season.
You too, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. Hi, Joseph. How are you?
I'm well, Matthew. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for taking the time. Your character is a brand new addition to the Halo universe. Is that sort of freeing when jumping into such an established world like Halo? And what intrigues you most about the character?
Yeah, there is definitely, it can be freeing, I think. For me, it was, I came off the back of another show, and I flew 3 days later. I was in Budapest, and I was going to jump on set and shoot my first scene, which was James Akerson's first scene in the show as well. And he comes on into the briefing room, and he has a sort of 3-page monologue to all of the Spartans who are there in various states of armor. And so I thought, the key to this character is going to be confidence. He's got to be so confident, so unwavering. And I thought I just need to have that. I just need to not give a damn about it. I just need to go on and be so utterly confident and in charge of that moment and that scene. And so that's what I tried to do. And there was something freeing in that, of just letting go of anything else. So yeah, it was that was what I tried to focus on coming into it. But yeah, I think it was freeing.
Well, and it's great too because the character is right in the middle of everything as the new boss, shaking things up, and obviously anytime a new boss comes into a established group or family, sparks are going to fly because butting of heads and things. We also quickly see James and Chief interact or start to interact. What does James think of Chief right off the bat, and vice versa, and how will that dynamic kind of evolve throughout the season?
I think there's certainly a battle of egos going on there. I would like to think that there's a mutual respect as well of people at the top of their game. I think that for Akerson, his concern is the survival of humanity, and so he believes his plan is the only plan, is the right way of doing things, and there is no other way. Everybody else needs to fall in line and do what I'm telling them so that we can ensure that our race survives, the human race survives. So it's the same with Chief. He needs to bring him on board. However he needs to do that, whatever it takes, he needs to get Chief in line. And unfortunately, that means initially butting heads with him. And that dynamic does evolve throughout the season. And it was just a pleasure for me as well, because Pablo is such a talented actor and so committed to the role and to the show. So it was really exciting to kind of play those scenes, figure out those scenes together, and see how I could try and assert my authority to a 8-foot tall guy who weighs 400 pounds or whatever it is.
I can't wait to see how things play out the rest of the season, and all the best success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.